Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I am going to be ranking 10 of the hottest new drugstore makeup releases. With the new year comes a ton of new makeup releases. So for the past week and a half, I have been testing out 10 of the most hyped up drugstore beauty products. And today I am going to rank them from 10 to 1. 10 being my least favorite, number 1 obviously being my most favorite. Okay, I have placed a timestamp right here for when I start ranking the products. But before I get into the video, I want to give a warm welcome to all of the new members of the Risa Does Makeup family. In the past 30 days or so, my channel has grown by more than 8,000 subscribers. And with that kind of growth comes a lot of new questions from new viewers. And the ones I've gotten the most often are, number 1, do you do a combination of drugstore and high-end, or is it mostly high-end as far as the products I show? And the second question I get most often from people who are also following me on Instagram and on TikTok where I show more fashion, they're asking me how I stay in shape. So the answer to the first question is yes, I do my best to strike a balance between my high-end content and my drugstore beauty content. And the answer to the second question brings me to my sponsor for this video. My regular viewers know that I am a Factor partner. And every 4 to 6 weeks or so, I like to take about 90 seconds of your time and explain to you why I love Factor meals and how they have helped me to maintain my weight over the holidays and into this new year. And fingers crossed that these meals will also help me to maintain my weight, keep it under control as I get into my 50s, where I know a lot of people have a tendency to put on more weight when they get into perimenopause and menopause. So now you may be asking, what are Factor meals and why do I love them so much? Well, Factor meals are delivered right to my door. They are pre-made, nutritious meals created by chefs. They are dietitian approved. Someone who works from home, Factor meals are the easiest way for me to eat a nutritious lunch or dinner. Of course, you can get Factor meals for dinner as well. I typically eat them for lunch because they only take 2 minutes to prepare. I no longer have to spend all this time prepping my meals and chopping and cutting and cleaning up. Today I chose the cheesy bacon ranch shredded chicken. I just punctured a couple of holes in the packaging, pop it in the microwave, heat it for 2 minutes, and voila, lunch is prepared. And it has all the ingredients I need to feel satisfied all day long. Factor is so flexible, I can easily adjust my orders. I can skip a week, I can add smoothies or extra veggie sides. Factor offers keto, calorie smart, chef's choice, and veggie options. Having Factor meals delivered directly to my home has drastically cut down on my need to go grocery shopping. Definitely cheaper than ordering carryout. If I did not have Factor meals delivered to my home, I would most likely be in my kitchen throughout the day, just snacking on whatever I could find. And I'm certain a lot of you are guilty of doing that too. So if you would like to get started with Factor, just head to factor75.com or click the link below and use the code RISA60 to receive 60% off your first Factor box. Okay, now it's time to start ranking some makeup products. In at number 10 is this L'Oreal primer. This is the Prime Lab up to 24-hour pore minimizing primer. This is supposed to blur pores and help your skin to look smoother over time. This primer actually did nothing. Now, because I have enormous pores, I am always down for trying a new pore smoothing primer. I have tried so many. I have spoken about some of my favorites right here on my channel many times. Unfortunately, my current favorite is not drugstore. It is from Cali Ray, and you have to get that at Sephora. I have found other drugstore primers that were good at mattifying shine and controlling oil, but as far as really visibly smoothing my pores, I have yet to find one from the drugstore, unfortunately. I did have high hopes for this one. I applied this like I apply any other primer, and I saw no pore minimizing, no pore smoothing. Obviously, I haven't used it long enough to speak to the claims that it makes your skin smoother over time, but I leave that sort of thing to my actual skincare products, not necessarily a face primer. This does contain, gotta put my readers on to read this. It does contain 1% AHA plus LHA plus BHA complex, which are hydroxy acids that do help to smooth skin over time, refine the look of pores, refine skin texture. But again, I think you're better off just using a skincare product for that, and then a primer that actually, I don't know, smooths the pores. In at number 9 is this Milani liquid highlighter. I have the shade 01 Lunar. I got so excited when I received this product because for a tiny moment I thought that perhaps it would be a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Spotlight Hollywood Glow wand, but unfortunately it is not. This shade Lunar is very similar in tone to the Charlotte Tilbury, but what I don't like about this one is that I don't find it to be very highlighting. I already had a little bit of highlighter on, so that was probably a mistake to do this. But when I would use it alone over foundation before any other highlighter, I just didn't understand why it didn't really highlight. It's supposed to be a glowy, luminous highlighter, and it just kind of blends away to nothing. Now it does say that it is supposed to be a soft focus highlighter, but then it goes on to say buildable luminous finish. I don't think I've ever tried building it up, but I don't want to have to build it up. I want my highlighter to just sort of give me that glow instantly. Yeah, I guess it's building up a little bit, but I just don't love it, which is why I have it in at number 9. There are definitely better drugstore highlighters on the market, and it makes me sad because I really love Milani. And staying with Milani products, I wasn't super impressed with. I'm about to get myself kicked off their PR list probably, but that's okay. You guys know I'm always going to be honest with you. This Conceal and Perfect Blur Out Powder has gotten raves over on TikTok. I haven't watched that many YouTube videos that have mentioned this, but over on TikTok, products just sort of take off. They go viral and then they sort of snowball and everybody just starts raving about how amazing it is, and then it sells out. And then when you go and try it and you don't love it, you feel like the odd man out and you sort of question yourself like, am I wrong? Am I using this wrong? What's going on here? Why does everyone else seem to love it and I don't? Well, I do not love this powder. And for someone like me with large pores and texture and oily skin, any type of blurring powder really catches my attention and I cannot wait to try it. And I have to tell you, I was disappointed, especially after hearing all the hype on it. So this part lifts up and you can either just dip your brush like this, tap off, and then, oh, it tastes bad too. This is the first time I've ever done that. Gotten it like in my mouth. It's a little blurring, but it's obvious on the skin, in my opinion. And maybe that's just because I've tried so many beautiful blurring powders that unfortunately are more expensive, like the Givenchy Prisme Libre powder, the Rare Beauty powder I find to be very smoothing. I also find the House Labs powder to be very smoothing. But in my opinion, if you are looking for a blurring powder that sits nicely on the skin, that isn't obvious, I would go for the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Loose Powder. When I apply this to my face, it just looks like I've applied a filter to my skin. With this, I feel like I've almost put, I can't explain it. I just feel like it's very makeup-y. Okay, and at number 7 is the newly reformulated L'Oreal True Match Foundation. I don't know what happened to the cap. I lost the cap. I purchased it in N4 and I got this on Amazon weeks before it was actually rolled out into like Ulta and Target. And I went back and forth on whether or not I wanted to try it because I never really loved the original True Match. That product had been out for so long. I recall, if I recall correctly, it was one of Allure's best drugstore picks for many, many years. And because of that, I would keep trying it. I probably, over the years, purchased that foundation 5 or 6 times, and I never ever got it to work for me. Even when I was 10, 15 years younger. My skin has always been oily. I've always had issues with my skin as far as discoloration and things that I wanted to cover. So I always leaned more towards medium to full coverage foundations. I still have a tendency to do that, but now I have what's called a foundation wardrobe, and I have foundations that I reach for that are less coverage for my light makeup days, and then I still have my full coverage foundations for when I have an event, or sometimes when I film, I like to wear full coverage. But getting back to this particular foundation and the reformulation, I ultimately obviously decided to order it, and when I first applied it, I got a little excited because it definitely has, in my opinion, more coverage than the original. So I liked that, but it didn't feel masky. It felt very lightweight. The color is a little bit dark for me, this N4. I probably need one shade lighter than this. I really like that it has a pump versus being in that little, I guess, little jar is what it used to be in. So a pump is an improvement. It says that it is a super blendable foundation, and it definitely is super blendable. I had a very easy time blending it. It looked nice when applied with a brush or with a sponge. I'm guessing you could probably get good results with your fingers as well. My problem with this foundation was longevity and shine. I did still get pretty shiny with this, but it wasn't horrible. It wasn't nearly as bad as the original. The original got very, very shiny on me. And the original also did not last very long on me. This one lasts longer than that one, but it's still not long wearing enough for someone with oily skin, or if you are someone that lives in a very humid climate and in the summer months, you just can't handle more dewy, glowy foundations. This does not claim to be a dewy or glowy foundation, but if you have oily skin, and once again, if you live in a humid climate, you are going to get very shiny with this. That's my belief after using it probably 4 or 5 times. I'm not in a humid climate. I'm in a very dry climate here in Las Vegas, but I still got very oily. And I just know that I will not be reaching for this very often. I can't say that I think this would work amazing for someone with very dry skin, but normal to dry, you might really, really like this. So that's why I'm placing it in the number 7 spot, because it's not bad, it's not amazing, but I think for some people it could be amazing. Okay, in at number 6 is this new e.l.f. color corrector. Actually, it's called Camo Color Correction. I purchased it in the peach shade because when it comes to correctors, I like to use peach tones because they will counteract the blue and purple tones that I have going through here, that a lot of us have going on through here. So a peachy corrector will help to counteract those shades, give you an even canvas for applying a concealer over it, give you more of an opaque coverage from your concealer so you don't have to use as much product. And as most of us know, the older you get, the less concealer you really want to be using. So correctors really do come in handy, and I do believe it's a step that a lot of people skip over because, well, it's another step. Using a corrector does make a difference. And I do really like this one. My only complaint about it is that it is a little bit too dark of a peach. I think if you have light medium to darker skin, this is the perfect peachy tone. But for those of you that have fair skin or fair to light skin, it could stand to be a little bit lighter. Now, what I haven't done yet that I'm considering is mixing it in with my concealer and seeing how that goes. That idea literally just popped into my head right now of trying this with the concealer I have in spot number 5, which is from Makeup Revolution. Actually, it's just called Revolution. This is the Soft Matte Concealer. It's the IRL Filter Finish Soft Matte Concealer. Now, I've got to tell you, I had low hopes for this. I had high hopes for some of these others, but I didn't have much hope for this one, only because I absolutely hated the Revolution IRL Filter Foundation. IRL stands for in real life, meaning that you're supposed to look like you have a filter on in real life. The foundation, horrible. It looked beautiful for the first half hour, and then it gradually turned into looking like a heavy old school makeup that was going to crack if you smiled too much. And I tried using a little bit, I tried using a lot. It was just a fail for me. So when I saw the concealer on display at Ulta, wasn't too excited, but I bought it anyway because my job is to test out these products and tell you my professional opinion on them. So this is a long wear breathable 16-hour oil-free concealer. I purchased the shade C2 and I believe this was around $7. This concealer comes in 16 shades and I probably need one darker than this. This is actually quite light for me. I do really like this applicator. I like how it's bent a little bit. It just really gets right in this area right here. I'm actually going to touch up with it because my glasses have left an indentation right here. So let's fix that with a little concealer. This really impressed me. As you can see, it's a little light. This covers so well and does not do what the foundation does, which is make my skin, or in this case my under eyes, look dry and just makeup-y. This covers really well, it blends out easily, it does stay put for hours like it claims. Now I don't have the driest under eyes, so I can't speak to if it's really, really hydrating. I don't think it even claims to be hydrating. It just says that it gives soft focus instant coverage to filter out blemishes, dark circles, and fine lines in real life. This ultra buildable full coverage concealer has a breathable soft matte formulation, a super comfortable wear, and will stay put for hours. So no, it doesn't claim to be hydrating, and I wouldn't say that it is supremely hydrating or feels supremely hydrating on my under eyes, but you could try it with an eye cream underneath, of course, which everybody should be doing. I have only recently gotten into a rhythm with remembering to use an under eye moisturizer. So while I really, really like this concealer, I'm a little skeptical that someone with very dry under eyes will like it as much as I do. All right, in at number 4 is actually a mascara. I don't typically talk that much about drugstore mascaras on my channel. Actually, I shouldn't just say drugstore mascaras because I rarely talk about any mascaras because I am a false lash girl. I love wearing false lashes. They're just easy for me to put on. However, I do not wear false lashes every single day. And this may come as a surprise to some people, but I don't even wear makeup every single day. Being that my job is to review makeup products, I do still buy almost every new mascara that hits the market. And when I find one that impresses me, no matter what the price point, I always share it in a video. And let me tell you, I am so impressed by this L'Oreal Telescopic Lift Mascara. I have said many, many times that I am not the biggest fan of these rubber bristle brushes or these flexible bristle brushes. I like the old school sort of fluffy, what used to be called a teddy bear brush, but this one may have changed my mind. The length and curl that this mascara gives my puny blonde lashes is pretty impressive. I do still use a curling, I was about to say a curling iron. I do not use a curling iron on my lashes. I use a lash curler. That is just habit. I will never not use a lash curler because my lashes stick straight out. But this mascara actually holds the curl. Now, typically, in my experience, only waterproof mascaras hold curl, but I did not buy the waterproof version. I'm not even sure if there is one. I bought the traditional version and I am absolutely loving it. It does not give you incredible volume. Maybe if you already have voluminous lashes, it will give you more volume, but for me, it just gives me tons of length. Here is a photo of one eye done, which may not look jaw-droppingly impressive to you because my lashes are so fine, short, and blonde to begin with, and you have not seen me try all these other mascaras. But trust me when I say, in comparison to a lot of other mascaras I've tried, that before and after is very impressive. And here's a photo of both eyes done. When I wear this mascara, I truly feel like I could possibly get away without even adding any corner lashes. But then, out of habit, I usually apply corner lashes anyway. The point is though that this mascara is really, really good. I haven't had any flaking or smudging occur with it. I don't wear contact lenses, although I probably should. So yeah, I don't know what else I can say other than I think if you haven't tried this yet, you should. Okay, and at number 3, the new e.l.f. O Face lipsticks. I started off purchasing 2 shades at Ulta, loved the formula so much, I went back and purchased 2 more. So the shades that I purchased are Hustle, Dirty Talk, No Doubt, and Standing Ovation. Here's a photo of me wearing Standing Ovation with a little bit of No Doubt in the center. Then I decided that I wanted to add a little bit of gloss. So what you're seeing here right now are the 2 lipsticks plus a little shimmering gloss on top. I didn't purchase the shade Hustle the first time because when you look at the packaging, when you look at the bottom, the little so-called color swatch right here, it looks like it's yellow, like it's a pale orangey yellow. But it does have a little bit more beige to it once it's on. It does pull sort of peachy on me, but I actually really like it. It's not my favorite of all time. I do hope that they come out with even more colors, but I like it for when I'm doing a peachier look, or like I did in the photo I just showed, put a little bit of it on the center of my lips to give them a more fuller, multi-dimensional appearance. I would say my favorite shade is No Doubt because it's a really pretty sort of nude color that doesn't wash me out. A lot of nudes are just way too light for me, and this one actually doesn't make me look like I've applied concealer all over my lips. It's a really flattering mauvey nude, especially when paired with a lip liner and maybe a little gloss. But what I like most about the lipstick is the formula. e.l.f. did a really fantastic job with these. They're creamy, they feel hydrating, they're long lasting, they're richly pigmented. The packaging is very upscale. They're very reminiscent of NARS lipsticks as far as the packaging. They have a magnetic closure. There are currently only 10 shades, so I do hope they come out with more because the formula is excellent. Okay, product number 2, I think is going to be very polarizing. And I say that because when I look at the reviews for this NYX Bare With Me Blurring Tint Foundation, woo, people have very strong opinions. They either love this foundation or they hate this foundation. I was ready to hate it simply because I spoke to a friend of mine who has a similar skin type to me, and she really didn't like it at all. But in the back of my mind, I thought, well, I'm still going to try it because she and I don't always agree on everything when it comes to makeup. So the shade I purchased was Soft Beige. I went to 3 different Ultas trying to find this foundation in a shade that wasn't way too dark for me. So finally, I found a Soft Beige. I think light neutral would be better for me, but it was unavailable. So I tried this, expecting not to love it, but I really liked it from the moment I applied it. However, that happens with a lot of foundations. I really like the way they look when they're first applied, but then after an hour, 2 hour, 4 hours, 6 hours, it's a no. This one really blew me away. Now that said, there is a possibility that it blew me away because I did a combination of this and the product I have ranked at number 1. I liked that combo so much. I have not tried this foundation on its own, and I probably should have, just to let you know if it wore any differently, but I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you what my number 1 ranking product is, because I think this combo is incredible, especially if you have skin like mine. Oily and mature, large pores, texture. I'm sorry for those of you that have dry or very dry skin. I'm not sure. Obviously, I can't speak to how well it will work on you, this combination. I know that the product I have in at the number 1 spot is not going to be one you would probably ever purchase because it is, plot twist, this primer from L'Oreal. Now, hopefully I'm using plot twist in the correct way because I think this will be a little surprising considering I had the pore minimizing primer in at number 10 because I didn't like it at all. This mattifying primer though, incredible. This is called the Prime Lab Up to 24-Hour Matte Setter. This contains 1% LHA and salicylic acid. It says here that it grips makeup with no shine, skin looks rebalanced over time. This is honestly one of the best shine controlling primers I have ever used. It does leave a little bit of a tackiness on the skin once you apply it, but it's not like the Milk Gripping Primer or any other gripping primers that I feel don't always play nicely with my foundation and don't help to control shine at all. This product grips your makeup and controls shine. And when I used these two together, my skin looked so flawless for longer than any other combo I have ever tried. And the fact that they are both drugstore products honestly makes me so happy. I'm going to be trying this primer with some of my high-end foundations as well. Some of them that I do have a tendency to get more oily with, like the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. I recently tried the Valentino foundation that I love, but it does make me a little excessively shiny after a few hours. I'm going to try this underneath that. I'm going to try this under all of my foundations. So this is my number one pick, but I don't think I spent enough time talking about my number two ranked product, which is the NYX Blur foundation. I find that this goes on really nicely. It gives me that beautiful medium to full coverage without looking cakey. It doesn't feel heavy on my skin. I applied it with my Stands Out sponge that I always use. Well, not always, but most of the time I use a Stands Out sponge dry, although you do want to wet it before the very first use. That is a question I get all the time. You wet the sponge the first time you get it, then you let it dry, and then you use it dry to apply your foundation. At least that's what I do. And it was perfection. This is how my makeup looked immediately after application. This is how it looked a couple of hours later. I was still extremely happy with it, hence the thumbs up. And then this was at the very end of the day. This is after I had my makeup on for 12 plus hours. Yes, I'm shiny. I didn't say that this controlled my shine for 24 hours, but let me tell you, I am a lot less shiny at 12 hours after not touching up than I have ever been using any other primer foundation combo. All I would need to do is touch up with a little maybe MAC blot powder, and I would be good to go for several more hours. Because I was still sort of second guessing myself, I decided to wear this foundation on another day without the primer underneath, and it still looked beautiful. This footage is taken in natural light about 3 hours after the makeup was applied. So there you have it, 10 of the most hyped, talked about new drugstore makeup releases, ranked from number 10 to number 1. If you have any questions at all, please leave them for me in the comments. If you did enjoy this video, found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. I really, really appreciate that. And if you are not a member of the Risa Does Makeup family, please hit that subscribe button and join us. Once again, welcome to all of my new viewers. I'm so glad you're here, and you can find more content from me over on Instagram and on TikTok under the same username, Risa Does Makeup. Thank you all so, so much for watching. All of the products will be listed and linked down below in the description box, as well as the link to sign up for Factor meals. And don't forget to use my code to get 60% off. And I will see you all in my next video.